Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the Serious Strategy Gamer, and it is Friday, so let's return to our Fridays for Future Let's Play of Fate of the World, a climate change game where we're trying to steer the world through the challenges of climate change and hopefully adapt to that and tackle it in the future. So, last time we talked a little bit about the interface. We did dive into North America slightly, but you can see that there are a lot of problems in the world. All of these little things denote something happening. Some of them are positive, India signing up to a carbon trading scheme, but a lot of them are negative and indicate problems. So that shows us again, this is a very, very hard game, and we're probably going to lose. We're probably going to see the world burn. But you know, it's somewhat realistic, so yeah, let's try to lay out our plan how we could survive that potentially. Just very briefly, our long-term plans. So I tend to think about this in three separate steps. So the first phase is where we're going to try to reduce our current emissions, and that reduce, most importantly, our current energy consumption, rather than trying to switch over to renewable energies in the very first place. We need also to adapt to climate change, but this is very much laying out the groundwork, the preparation for the second phase. The second phase then is there we'll be doing quite a lot of crisis management as the effect of climate change worsen, and we'll be trying to adapt to them. We'll be trying to adapt to the resource shortages that we are sure to see, and then in the last sort of third phase, we'll be trying to get entirely on renewable technologies, and we'll be trying to do some of the advanced crisis management, I would say. So that's gonna have to wait a while though. We have big issues in the world, and we talked about them very much briefly in the last episode. So the big issues in the world in terms of carbon emissions, and early carbon emissions in this game are very, very bad because they can trigger certain methane clissades that are buried in this deep sea or Arctic methane releases. So yeah, we'll need to address that. The big carbon emitters are China with 13,000 tons, North America with 11,000 tons, Europe, Latin America with about 6,000 tons each, and all of the other ones are somewhat behind that. So yeah, we'll need to deal with these things in particular. We'll also need to deal with the Human Development Index in especially India and Africa, because we'll need to make sure that these guys will stay on top of things. We'll also need to deal with the security situation in the Middle East, because one of the important things that we did see is that the oil production peaks, so that means that the oil production currently is falling, which is an issue. But issues we do have a lot of. So let's briefly jump back to North America. We've seen that last episode already and tackled it a little bit, because the issues for climate change, or the reasons for the emissions, are very different in North America than they are in China. And the game reflects that, which I do find lovely. So just as a reminder in terms of emissions, over here you can see where these emissions are coming from. They come to a very large degree from forestry, but that is a one-time effect. That is just one big wildfire, presumably in California, that is causing the issues now, but that is an issue in the midterm that we have to address. There is the energy production and the transport usage. So not a big surprise over here. So the Americans do like their roads and cars and air travel, so that is contributing a big chunk to that. Also the energy production is, and we can have a look over here. So the way this chart works is this is what energy is being used for. Transport a little bit directly, so this is electrical energy, very little in actual transport, a lot in industry, commerce and residential, with the bulk of it happening in commerce and residential. You can sort of lump these together. So these are your banks, your shops, these are your industries, and these are just homes. This is the overall amount of energy that is being used in all of these categories. This is where that energy comes from. So the energy in North America does come a little bit from renewables, somewhat from uranium, which is helpful because it doesn't cause any emissions, although it does have other problems, and it does come from coal, gas and oil. The big issue with coal is that it's a huge emitter. So you can see gas and oil are somewhat on the same level in the energy mix in North America, at least in this simulation. So that includes, of course, Canada as well. So might not be fully accurate of the US, but yeah, you can see coal, even though it's contributing just as much as gas, it's causing twice as much emissions. So coal, really big problem. Right, so Last time we did play our first cards already, so we are playing the drought and erosion and wildfire defenses, so we are preparing for wildfires. We are trying to reduce the effects of wildfire, so better, well, wildfire fighting, I would say. We're also improving the efficiency of the transport network, so building more rails, but also somewhat more roads, so that people can get around more easily without taking big detours, and hopefully that's gonna reduce the oil usage on the road a little bit more. We're gonna also recruit another agent over here so that we can play a total of 4 cards for 50 bucks. I do think that's worthwhile because North America is such a big problem in the short term. So let's see what we could do over here. Now we could switch the transport network to electricity, so basically electric cars. That would be nice because it would reduce the emissions from the road network, but it would not reduce the emissions from other categories. In particular, if you're loading your car with power, with electrical power, that power needs to come from somewhere, and right now we are burning a lot of coal in the electricity generation, so I doubt that this would be actually a very good idea. So let's not do that for the second. The same issue with coal-free industry also, although coal is not a big issue in the network as for now, at least in North America, at least not directly in the industry. We could commit to renewables, so we could expand hydropower, solar, photovoltaic, all of that. That would be nice, but at the current level of technology this would take ages and it would be so slow to complete, and it would not give us an answer to our immediate problems. We could commit to nuclear. This would be a viable technology, but I'm not too sure that that is the answer in North America. What I do think what we should do in North America is this over here. So we should, I think, create strict energy and emission regulations for buildings to spur energy efficiency development. So overall, this would reduce the commerce performance and the industry performance a little bit, so it would hurt our economy, but just a little bit. And over 30 years it would create vast savings in the power usage in the first place. So if we are reducing our power usage, of course we will be reducing our emissions as well. Instead of using a different technology to create power in North America, I think it would be extremely good to reduce our power consumption in the first place. I would like to play more, but we'll have to take a little bit care of the other regions as well, so let's hold off for that for now. And let's jump over to China, because China of course is a very big polluter as well. We can look at the news in China. Generally green denotes good news, so they are signing up to that. Tech is advancing, nuclear fission is expanding. However, they do also have a little bit of a wildfire problem, although it's not quite as dramatic as in North America, and they do have a fuel use toxicity issue, so that also comes from fuel being burned. I think we should be able to see it. You can certainly see it somewhere, and I'm thinking that potentially over here? No. Energy emissions. Oh well. There is a bit of a problem in toxicity, so yeah. The issue in China is, of course, that the emissions that we are seeing, they do come from energy production, but they also directly from the industry, and in the industry, it's again the coal usage. So really, the coal use, big problem over here. The energy use, again, of the energy use is again being created by coal, and you can see most of the energy in China flows to the industry. So commerce and residential is just a third of what industry does. So this is really dominating. So here it would be excellent to play a similar card as we do in North America. So we could play the industrial carbon regulations, which would do the same thing basically as we have here for the businesses and the households for the industry. Unfortunately, we cannot do that because China is not quite as advanced in terms of technology as we would hope to be. So what I think we should do over here is commit to nuclear technology. It's a hard sell, I know, but it is much better than using coal, and we should hopefully see already that we are seeing some effect from that. So let's have a look at the energy production and what is being used to generate that. So yeah, you can see that even though China in the last turn, so in this one, this is the change. So you can see already that even though the total energy consumption has been increasing a lot, coal usage has been somewhat constant, and all of that extra energy consumption has been taken up by uranium. And that's good. For now, that's good. It's a bridge technology. We'll be using it as such. So, other than that, I don't think we should be using coal-free industry at this moment, because we'd just be switching over coal in industry to the power network, which then again would be created from coal. So there's no immediate point to doing this, I think. We could think about playing storm and or drought defenses so that these wildfire things don't happen again. I think that would be a good thing to do in China. We could also think about the higher education program. That would increase our human development index, and that would ultimately allow us to then play the industry card. So I think that would be a good one, and of course I'll be buying another agent for that, so that we'll be able to play this card, because I do think it's just going to be so important. We also have the problem with the toxicity. I don't think there's any way that we could address that for now. We could maybe decline the use of coal power simultaneously. That might not be a completely bad idea, although that would also be using gas and oil, and while that is better than using coal, it is using energies that we don't really have that much of, so still it might be a very good idea. I'm a little bit twisted about that. Energy efficiency doesn't seem to be doing that much for us, I think. Coal-free industry would be great. On the other hand, you know what, let's try to prevent the wildfires first, because that is the second part. It's not just reducing energy consumption, it's also adapting to the changes. And most importantly, the drought erosion and wildfire defenses do increase goodwill a little bit. In China that's okay, we're not overly taxing them in the moment, but it does create goodwill, and they will prevent us from being kicked out. Let's go over to Europe, the third polluter. Generally we are seeing some of the first problems here. So that an expanding Hadley cell, so that's a meteorological phenomenon, decreases rainfall, so there's a higher chance of drought in North America. I think it's for the next round, so we have to keep that in mind, and we should probably build up some drought defenses. That would also be good because Europe doesn't particularly like us at that moment, and that is because we are paying additional taxes over here. So right, let's go ahead, let's build drought defenses. I'm also going to buy a third card over here and invest in the energy and the transport efficiency, and let's go for a fourth one where we will also be playing, as in North America, the businesses, household and carbon regs, because if we do look at the energy production over here, I think it's mostly, well, it's a little bit balanced in Europe compared to North America, but still I think the residential and commercial aspects over here do dominate, so let's tackle them first. And again, a big chunk of this comes from transport, so let's take that into mind. Right, a lot of cards being played already, and we don't have that much money. Let's go to the fourth producer of carbon emissions. There's a dry year in Latin America, so again, wildfire erosion chance, wildfire chance, and Latin America does have a lot of forests, so wildfires over here are very bad. However, we are already playing the protected land, soil and forest cards, and that is doing very well for us because it is reducing agricultural emissions and increasing GDP a little bit, so that is very nice. They are also trying to reduce their deforestation a little bit, so that's very good because in Latin America a big chunk of the annual emission does come from forestry, and in particular the deforestation. So yeah, that is something that we do need to address. So I do think I want to keep on playing this card. Let's buy one more, and again buy the drought and wildfire defenses over here. That's gonna make them a little bit more likely to love us, and again it's just gonna affect the drought that we are currently seeing there. So that's the big emitters. We don't have that much money left. We have played cards in all other territories. So the next important thing I think is India. India is a very, very difficult place. As you can see by these lots and lots of red notices over here in the news section. So they don't particularly like us because they are materialist and we are enacting some things. So they're decreasing their stability. For now that's okay. However, they do have water stress, which is very much problematic because it decreases healthcare. It's going to increase migration risks, so really not that good for us. They have ratified the World Forestry Treaty, that's good to see. They have signed up to the carbon emission scheme, which does trade carbon emission rights between countries, and they have increased sickness. So they have signed up to the Forest Treaty, so let's stop this for now. There are a lot of different things that we do need over here. So one of them, I think, is the water management program. This is an important aspect for the economy. Water shortage over here is a big issue. We could also think about the medical welfare program, which wouldn't be necessarily bad. We should definitely also think about the educational enrollment, because India is a very difficult place when it comes to the Human Development Index, and we do want to increase their chances going forward a little bit. Now, the one big problem with India, and I know that some of you are not going to like this, but the one problem with India is the population. It's projected to grow and grow and grow. And in particular, these are old people, these are working age people, and these are children, so this is not sustainable. India right now has 18% of the population of the world, but they're only emitting 7%. These people are going to catch up, which is brilliant. Their economy is going to grow, and they're going to industrialize very quickly from here onwards on, but this just won't work for us. So we are going to do something over here which isn't maybe the nicest. So we are going to enact a one-child policy. Mandate a one-child policy in India limiting family sizes. This is going to decrease the birth rate by quite a bit. It may lead to low workforce, aging population issues, and people are not going to like it. People are not going to like this at all. But we are accompanying that with a water management program, with the educational enrollment, with a lot of development work over here, so I do hope that that is going to be alright. Let's hope that it is. I do not know. We'll have to see. That does leave us with very little money left. So let's briefly check on what else we've got going on. Southern Africa. Well, let's go through some of the important regions first. So Middle East, we do see a problem here because the stability is volatile, and that is on the stability issue. You can see it goes from restrictive, which is extremely stable, to very stable, to stable, to unstable, very unstable, and volatile. Volatile is not good. They are close to civil war or regional wars in the area, and you know, this game was created in 2010, I want to say, and it did correctly imagine that in 2025, 2020, we would see a lot of problems in the Middle East. So this is really not something that we can sustainably do. There are a lot of issues. Their stability is decreasing. They have literally problems. This is not great. Let's reduce that card for now. We could do emergency housing relief. That would solve some of the underlying problems. But I think we have to actually provide security assistance over here to increase their stability, which we cannot afford. Well, that's bad. So we'll have to tax someone then. And increase Tobin taxes. Can we do that in China? We can't. We are already doing that in Japan. Could we do it in Russia? I don't think we can. Europe? We are already doing this. North America. Okay, for now we'll have to drop the protect lands and soil card and increase the taxation over here. That means people will not gonna like us at all, but it does mean we have a lot more money. So basically 100 bucks for that. So in the Middle East, definitely security assistance is one of the things that we do need to do over here. We are going to buy a second card over here because it's a crucial region. because it has the world's oil supplies, and yeah, we'll simply have to deal with that. So I think it would be good to do an emergency housing relief, because again, if we look at the news over here, the residential crowding causes unrest, so we are losing stability points because of the overcrowding. So if we reduce that, we are at least somewhat reducing the underlying problem. So I think that's going to be a good idea. Right, let's go to Japan then, because we had been looking at them already. We are playing the Tobin tax over here. Let's look at the news. There don't seem to be any imminent droughts or anything like that, so all in all I think we could keep on playing this. They don't really like us at all, so we lost a heart this turn, so that we only have 4 left, which isn't great. So still the businesses and household carbon regs do make them like us a little bit more, so I think that's going to be okay. Oceania, yeah, you also probably not particularly happy about the... Ooh, we have a dry year, so yeah, they're not particularly happy about the turbine tax. Tech is booming over here, but we will need one more card, and we'll need drought defenses in Australia, because otherwise we'll be seeing wildfires over here, and that wouldn't exactly be good. Right, so I think that does leave Southeast Asia. What's going on over here? We've ratified the World Forest Treaty, that's good. So we should see some things going well over here. Dangerous deforestation averted, that's good. I think your main problem is probably deforestation. So yeah, we have a lot of annual change in forestry yet, so I think we're going to keep on playing this card. It's a little bit more expensive, but there's no imminent danger of anything in Southeast Asia, so that's fine. Let's go to Southern Africa then, one of the difficult regions as well. So yeah, we do see a dry year over here, so again droughts. They're not just droughts, and they're also defenses against floodings and that, but it seems like we're entering a particularly dry season this time around. So let's actually play that. And in North America, what have we got over here? Monsoons, so again drought. Oh, El Nino disrupts monsoons, so... Monsoons? Are they called monsoons in North America? I don't know. Right, you're very unstable as well, so that's not really great for us. And we're also seeing storms, so yeah, we actually have droughts and storms over here. But we don't have enough money to buy another slot, so... yeah, I think we'll have to leave it at that then. Is there anything that we could or should be changing other than that? Tobin tax is being played. We'll probably have to dropping the... we'll probably have to drop the... And you're very unstable, so North Africa, there's a problem over here. But I think it's not a problem that we can solve. Not for now. And you know what, so it's a little bit bad to say that, but I would prefer them to fight the droughts and wildfires compared to the storms. Both of them are not great, but wildfires release a lot of carbon, and we just can't afford that at this moment. We are already 1.1 degrees over pre-industrial times, and it's going to increase very, very rapidly at current emissions. And there are probably some emission... So if we do look at the global emissions, I think they'll probably be projected to be increasing as well. And yeah, that's not a good thing. You can see basically all regions are projected to increase in their severity, but especially China, Middle East. Where's India? India, yeah, that's going to be a lot more than this. So I do feel bad about the one-child policy over here, but it's just some tough things that we do have to do over here. What's this? Anti-GEO rally, so GEO is our global environmental organization, or global earth organization, I don't know. Anti-GEO protests in Japan were supposed to be a peaceful event, but people in this developed region are enraged by plummeting standards of living. Bullying police only made matters worse. When anger turned to violence, the bloodbath outside GEO offices became inevitable. Right, so a little bit of a longer term this time around, which is basically because because, well, we needed to set up a lot of things, we needed to buy a lot of agents, and next time around I think we'll have to drop the Tobin tax in a lot of regions, because otherwise we will be kicked out, and if we are losing too many regions, well, we lose the game, but also we lose all of our abilities to influence a region, and we should not be losing influence over North America, Japan, or any of the other regions. We'll also have to think a little bit about how we are investing into tech, because we definitively do need to invest into these areas a lot more once we can, but right now we just don't have the money, and we are in crisis mode because there is a lot of drought happening all over the world. So, that being said, let's hit the end turn button, and we're gonna see what's gonna come out of this, and then next time around we can say, ooh, this is not good. Okay, so on the left hand again here we see the emissions, they have increased yet again by a lot, but most importantly the projections for the temperature in 2200 is at 7 degrees Celsius. If it goes above 3 degrees Celsius, we'd be losing. So right now we are at 1.3 degrees. Just a little bit more and we'd be losing. So we'd be losing at current projections the game before 2100. So that's not good. Additionally, we are seeing the loss of the summer ice. In summer the Arctic Circle is now virtually ice-free. Species are in crisis, communities are in turmoil, and the seas are rising. Also, global population is increasing by 200 million. We have made a breakthrough in smart grids in North America. That's very, very good news. So we are seeing the perfection of smart grid technology, allowing energy demand and supply to be intelligently balanced across a region. So that does give a nice, if modest, boost to our energy efficiency. Emissions overall in North America, they've been decreasing dramatically, which is good. That's mainly because I think we have dealt with the forest fires. Latin America decreasing a little bit, North Africa increasing by 22% in Southern Africa on a low basis, but that is the kind of problem that we're trying to avert. India increasing by 20%. How's China doing? Decrease of 2%, that's good. We expected actually an increase of 10%. Japan somewhat doing as expected. Oceania pretty much irrelevant. Europe, nice decrease, but it's counterbalanced by the things that are happening in India. People don't like us in North America, so we're down to 4 stars. Japan is a problem. 2 stars or 2 hearts. That's really, really low. Northern Africa as well, so we didn't do justice enough to them. But Japan is a crisis. But yeah, so it is now 2030, and we have dealt with the first things. You can see that various things are happening in the world. It's not looking quite as bad as in the last time, but there are some riots. People don't like us. Could flash floods have been prevented? In China, I think. Yeah. So there are a lot of problems, but we're going to have to deal with them next time. So next Friday, there'll be the next episode of this. I think it's going to be accelerating somewhat over the next couple of episodes. So I do hope to play more than one turn each time. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye bye.